Hi everybody, welcome to, I guess you call it the SDP's living room, where today we've invited a few guests and they're all from Bukit Batok, all residents of Bukit Batok, so you can kind of see where we're going with this already. I just want to have this conversation with our residents watching this on our social media, and really to be able to talk about some of the issues that concern you as Bukit Batok residents. You know, for a long time we've been talking about national issues, and those are very important. But at the same time, I know that as residents of Bukit Batok, you have concerns about whether it's running of the estate, town council, social activities going on, and how I'll be able to handle all these things if and when hopefully that I get elected as your MP. And I just want to have this conversation with all of you here. Look, we make this very conversational and I just really want to hear from you what some of the things, concerns that you have of me taking over if I should be so fortunate as to be elected next Friday. So could you just very quickly then introduce yourself so we can just get this conversation rolling? Why don't we start with you?
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm a resident of Bukit Batok, and I live very near the MRT station. So what I would like to, I'm interested to know is how prepared is you and your team ready to take over activities from like town council and maybe grassroots and the old folks welfare, if let's say you got elected this coming election?
Thanks, Mandy. Before I answer your question, can we just have...
Okay, I'm CK Tan from Block 192. I retired for more than 10 years.
Thanks for coming, Mr.
Right.
Tan. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kenneth. I've been a resident of Bukit Batok for the past 20-30 years. Yeah.
You grew up in BBM?
Yeah, basically I grew up in Bukit Batok area.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Christopher. I have been living in Bukit Batok for 8 years. I graduated from Bukit Batok Secondary. Bukit Batok has a really deep meaning into my heart because that's where I'm always at, and I feel that Bukit Batok is a place that I really call home.
Fantastic. I just want to again welcome all of you, and then let's just have this very nice, intimate conversation, and I'll just go right ahead along into addressing your question on Mandy. Look, I understand the concerns that, you know, once, how do we run a town council? And we've already laid out in our town council plan, what we intend to do is hit the ground running, and we're going to put in place. The first thing we're going to do is tell everybody in the town council to remain where they are, right? And right now, the affairs of this estate are run through Jurong Town and Clementi Town Council. So for the first days before we take over, we want to emphasize and continue these matters, taking care of the estate in BB. What we will do is to put our team in place, all right, and to make sure that all the processes of handing over, whether it's the financial, the budgetary, or the contracts, and so on and so forth, within the first 100 days, okay, I pledge to publish a report listing all these items, the takeover process, the interim financial report, so you guys know what's being handed over, how much we have, and how much we intend to spend. Then we intend to publish a budgetary plan and a 12-year work plan. The first 12 years the work plan, after 12 months work plan. Right? All this will be put up on our Facebook, which we will create for BB alone, so that all the residents can track and see what we're doing. And it's going to be transparent. It's going to be something which you're going to be able to tell us what you think. So that is how we intend to do that. And the other thing that I want to do is make sure that we don't have a managing agent. Right now, for example, MPs all go part-time. right? So in order to handle some day-to-day activities, what they do is they contract it out to a managing agent. Managing agents are actually businesses. So apart from employing their own folks and everything, they do have levy a layer of profit for that company who's running it. And then you end up the residents end up having paying, and then you elect an MP to do the work, but then he contracts it out, makes you pay, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. For me, right, from day one, we'll be here, and we will make sure that we employ most qualified, experienced professionals to run, whether it's your GM, whether it's your procurement manager, whether it's your estate manager, whether it's your communications manager, employ them, and they will all be answerable to me. And so there's no middle layer where you have to go through. No.
If I may interrupt, because this has been nibbling me in my in my heart. What happens if we see a similar episode of what a classical example? What happened at the Aljunied Punggol Hougang Town Council? Do your team has contingency in place to really iron this out?
I think the one thing that I've been able to glean from that situation, that was the computer services, and that the whole thing about PAP run town councils, the computer systems are all in place. We want to make sure that all these things continue to run, because even when they are not voted in, they have an obligation to the residents still to hand over the process properly. All right, because if they mess it up, they're going to have to answer for it in the next elections, and we'll make sure of that. So we make sure that they fulfill the obligations. The handover process, everything is done, sui, that kind of thing, and make sure that don't play punk. It is no more SDP, PAP. It's the residents you're talking about. And if you want to mess with this thing politically just because you were not voted in, right? We will note that, right? But as I said, we've never experienced have any really adverse situations. Don't forget, we won, SDP won Bukit Gombak and Nee Soon Central and Potong Pasir years ago. And you know that Workers' Party actually won Hougang. And the handover process, everything I was there when Bukit Gombak was had Nee Soon Central as well years ago. The handover process was very smooth. Okay, so I want to assure residents that when it comes to these kinds of things, all right, that there is an orderly handover of all the matters, and to make sure that everything runs smoothly, we'll put it up transparently and present. Today we saw so and so and so, promised us that he'll hand over by when and everything, all these contract papers, outstanding, and then finances. So everything will be put up, so everybody will be on their toes. That's how we're going to assure residents.
How about I have a question. For a place to do the meet the MP session, I'm sure if you take over, they are not going to lend you the kindergarten and the PAP space too.
Oh yeah.
So you have to really think.
Sure. What we want to do is to have an office, right, in this area here. Yeah.
In this area.
In Bukit Batok, like what we're doing right now here. We are in Bukit Batok. That's why I can tell you right now. And it doesn't have to be only once a week at night.
Yes.
Right? Not?
Yes.
If you are here, your MP is on a full-time basis, right? Do you need to have to meet the people session at this
7 to
office
10.
Thursday?
Yeah.
No, if you're going to be in the coffee shops and everything, make the appointment. Say, come and see me. Okay, today we sit at the coffee shop, we finish up whatever we need to do.
Yes. And normally you have to queue.
Yes.
Really
Because
long.
there's queue, and
Yeah,
sometimes
the queue.
they tell people, oh sorry, you can come the next session because it's full already.
Yes.
They have rejected people before, the previous MP.
Well, that's because the MP stays in the office, morning until evening, and then evening until then you have a few hours you come up. But if you're here all the time, come in, see me.
Convenient.
Yeah.
Convenient
And even if
timing.
you don't have anything that you want to ask, get to know your MP.
That's
right?
great.
Like
That's
what is I'd like to get to know them on a personal basis. And sometimes it goes beyond just, hey, can you write this letter for me, HDB letter or police, I got fined. I just really like to know you as people. What are your concerns? What are your worries for your children? Feedback to us, because that's what a parliament is, and for you to take all these concerns, bring and tell the people who make the policy, and say, hey, these are the things that people are very concerned about. That's how the MP's role is.
Okay, so I have a question. A lot of the residents of Bukit Batok has been listening to our current MP, Mr Murali, has many plans that takes years to accomplish, and when you do become a Bukit Batok MP, what happens to the plans that are unfinished by Mr Murali?
Yeah, there'll be this handover process, as I said, all the contracts that will be given to us, and it will be getting an update now. And you just need to make sure that you hold all the contractors to their word. I was just down taking a look at some of the projects that are going on around Block 155 then. Some of the signboards come out and say, projects that were due in 2017 are still going on in 2020 and not done yet. And these are the things, and there's no explanation.
No accountability.
No accountability to residents. And residents are paying for this,
Yes.
And this is where I think, an MP, you need to be on the ground
ball.
here.
Yeah.
Keep your eye on the ball, and you make sure that the contracts are all fulfilled and projects are completed within the. Otherwise, there is. You have to hold the contractors responsible.
For those ongoing project, definitely it will be carry on. It will not terminated because of takeover.
Yeah, for sure. And they have these contractors have a legal obligation. Like you sign the contract here. It doesn't matter who takes over the town council, finish up the project. And then we'll have things that we need to put in place.
And if I may add, what are you going to do? Let's look at the Bukit Batok fire, for example. What are you going to do? Do you have any plans to prevent this kind of similar cases like negligence in blocking the fire hose reel and no water coming out to the? I think this is really unacceptable.
Let me just give you a bit of the backstory. When we heard that the fire had broken out, and then we came down to the place, even before I went up to the unit, on the in void deck, some of the residents were sitting there in the morning and saw me, so they recognized me and said, no water. And I was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean no water? Bo zui. Then after that, I went up to the 13th floor. So I went up and to take a look, and then the residents came to tell me, say the hose reel cabinet was locked, and then when they came, the SCDF personnel came, broke it open, pulled out the fire hose. You can see there was a video, very short clip. They were struggling with it, you see, and there was no water. So they went to take the water supply from another fire hose. That, I can tell you, is the nightmare of firefighters. How you fight a firefighter when cabinet number 1 is locked and then no water supply? So I brought it up because nobody was saying anything. Town council, JCTC was not saying anything. So I put it on Facebook. I said, what's happening? And I wrote to SCDF, and slowly SCDF came and investigated, said, there was a breach of these safety conditions.
It's a standard requirement. They have to make sure all these are free for access.
Right?
You should check it every 6 months or something.
Fire safety codes, there are codes in there.
They must be freely accessible.
So slowly then, subsequently, Mr Murali then came and he took responsibility and apologized, and I commend him for that. But my point is that and I'm not saying that MP must go and check every hose or look into every pothole or drain. No. But what I am saying is that you must be around, to make sure that contractors that you're doing don't cut corners. Contractors also sometimes want to save money or save mafan. Right? So I don't know what happened, but apparently the contractor said later it's because they didn't want vandalism.
Yes, there's an excuse.
Yes.
Yeah.
They give the instruction, right? Contractor have problem to try to avoid the misuse of all these things, these apparatus, firefighting apparatus. It must have someone give instruction to lock it up.
Because it's
Right.
not just a lock there.
Yes.
You have to screw in the
Yeah.
padlock and everything. So someone actually
So,
did it.
Yes.
correct.
So I asked the
So
question.
actually, it was designed.
Yeah.
It was
So who
designed and
paid for the
Not
locks lah
design,
to you know?
instructed.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Yeah.
never got an answer lah. But this is what I want to say lah. I guess I keep saying that was the MP's responsibility.
Yes.
When you have these breaches, 99% of the time, nothing happens. Correct?
This is what we want to
Yes.
see, accountability.
Yes.
Where's the accountability in here?
Yeah.
You know?
And then one rare occasion where it happens, it becomes tragic. So you know, I just and then one of the residents passed away because of her injuries, and that must stop. So I thought at that time, Mr. Murali would have just paid more attention already. So you just imagine my shock when I then just last week only, we were down at block 155, the big food center there, and I just walked past and I saw that there was this place that the pavement is all dug up. You look around here, there was no safety cordon. Tarpaulin sheets
Yes.
all torn
Yes.
and shredded.
Yes.
After you
really
posted up, then
And
somebody came to cordon off
and
the
I said,
area.
look, you have children
Yes.
running in.
What you
and
mentioned
out.
was
Yeah, I see it
correct.
every morning because
Yeah.
I buy kopi at the coffee shop
Yes.
before I head to
Right
work.
on.
And I saw it for the whole month of June already.
It didn't change until Dr. Chee posted
Posted
a
it up,
picture.
and
And then
It
after a week
didn't
later, then he
change.
came
Yeah.
he said you put the cordon, and that's just I keep saying that's not acceptable because you're talking about the safety of residents, and I keep fundamentally that's the basic things that you must take care of, safety. And then there was the renovation of shops there. You know they've got this shelter that they want to erect, and then the metallic beams put up as the support structure for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Walkway, they widen
And then
the
again, there was a danger sign over there, but the danger sign was not put facing where the walkway is. It was placed on the side. And then you have, shoppers, people, residents walking up and down the shops over there. And just imagine, I say, some, old person and don't see the sign, kids running, again, no safety cordon. And I say, as I said, 99% of the time, nothing happens. That one incident, you can cause injuries and worse fatalities. MPs must pay attention to things like that.
Yes.
Because
Because
they
we
leave it
don't,
to
then the
managing
contract-
agent to do it. That's
Yeah.
why they
That's
expect
right.
things to be running
Yeah.
smoothly. But right now it's not in Bukit Batok. Because I raised a problem, like I think I sent you the photo a few days ago on the red. I raised a problem a few years ago already. It is still there for 3-4 years. I did raise the question to the town council, but nothing has been done. And I sent you the photo, you can see it's broad daylight. It's not even at night. The red run around. It was taken in May. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So that
Yeah,
our
in Broad
very
Daylight.
famous or infamous BB red problem.
The MRT, they blame it on the store owners nearby for food. But then down on my stairs by my house, there's no food. So you cannot go and Tai Chi the blame to anyone already.
Actually,
Yeah,
So
there's this
that's
big grass patch that is rats staying there. It's yeah.
the right case actually is started very early stage, which they sit on it, never
During
handle.
Mr. David Ong's time as well.
Yes,
Mm.
because that hill, a lot of stray dogs there, and then a lot of dog feeder, right? I believe town council or HDB must have some feedback, right?
Correct.
At the early stage, right? But I believe they also encounter the problem of those dog lover. They cannot clear the dog in time.
But
So
NEA is not doing much about
No,
it.
they finally cordoned off it.
Ah,
They
that's
put
what I
up the
thought, yeah.
fencing
After
after it
all
got a
the
big thing into the
complaint,
news and
Yeah.
Right.
they finally
Became
do
national
something
news.
lah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, then the big pest control company start the
Yes.
operation. You can see they
We
send
are
a whole battalion of workers there to
about 30 of the
anti-rat operations.
Yeah.
We became so famous, in the national TV that we have a
we
rat
did,
team.
we did, we did.
And the other day
And
at
it's not
the
something
market,
to be proud
we
of.
actually have a rat issue in the market also.
Oh,
So
wow.
I saw the storeholders trying to communicate to the MP, Mr Murali, but he had the face that looked like he wasn't really going to do anything lah. He was more concerned about the election. Yeah, he had this like a punai look on the face, like can you just get this complaint and done with? I have other things to do kind of thing. So the feedback that I had from the storeholders was, this guy, they preferred the previous MP also. Mr. David Ong was a bit more on the ball. He was able to do more things for them. I mean, some of the stallholders have been in the market for more than 10 years, 15 years, and on the ground, they see the things.
That day also I saw, you know, the what they call the perimeter drains along the pavement, and those gratings over there, that the plants were growing out from the grating, you see. When you see plants over there, when plants grow upwards, the roots must go downwards, and there must be some kind of collection of soil.
Yes.
When the drainage is blocked, you know, NEA has actually set up a website. I saw it went in, it says town councils, okay? And then they say how you must clear water, and they can tell you like gutter, you know, scupper drains, perimeter drains. They tell you where potentially all water can collect and become habitats of mosquitoes. And one of them is the drains in there.
Yes, yes.
Right? And I took this picture. The roots were also all growing already. You cannot see, you see. So these are things that when drains collect, mosquitoes breed dengue.
So I want to comment about that. It's because I live in Avenue 8, and along there it's a long stretch of park, from a skateboard park to a street soccer, and there is a lot of mosquitoes right out there. And I comment about it to Mr. Murali, and he basically asked me to dial the hotline. I dialed the hotline a few times, and it's the same. It's the same. The mosquito situation is the same along the park, from the skateboard park all the way to the street soccer. Nothing has changed
Even the
actually.
skateboard.
So really, it makes me wonder how a part-time MP, you know, who need to juggle between work and you know, the matters of the resident, really get down on the ground and address all this for us, because this is our safety seriously.
Mr. Tan, is there something you want to say about the skateboard
Just now
park?
you saying the skateboard park there.
Yes.
I did observe some stagnant water after
There
the
is,
rain.
there is,
Yes,
there is,
right.
there is.
I don't know whether that is the breeding ground for the mosquito.
It's also in the street soccer as well.
Yes.
Just the whole park.
Right.
I know.
It's the maintenance part, you see. The maintenance I should say, is not up to my standard.
And this morning,
Okay.
I was distributing flyers at MRT. A lady came up, resident block 226. She was saying that, you know, the on the around the block there, you know, the refuse all not collected and still, you know. And then somebody sent me a photo of his block, 1 month already, and they were saying, hey, bulky items not collected, and he'd been calling the town council. So like, all these things, as I said, I've heard good things about when Mr. David Ong was still around, and the residents, like, you know, you go your house visit, you walk, and you hear all these things. And look, I did tell you again, I don't have anything personal against Mr. Murali. I just hope people don't go and like use this and then go and personally, you know, attack him and everything. That's not what I want. But I do want to know that the difference here is the idea of what an MP's role is. And I keep saying, with everything that you need to do, I just don't see how you can be a part-time. You look after the town council, right? You look after the residents' needs and to meet with them.
Yes.
And then don't forget your parliamentary role.
Yeah.
Parliamentary role is not going to sit there and just bow to them before the speaker and then you go and take your seat. You know, no, you've got to do research. You've got to do, you know, listen to your residents and bring their concerns to parliament. How all this you do part-time? I just don't understand.
I actually have a question from a resident, because I said that Dr. Chee Chen would be a full-time MP for us, and their question is, how often will you be there?
As often as Mr. Murali goes to his office, and then some more. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, instead of making your way to downtown Shenton Way,
Yeah.
you make your way down to
Where
Bukit
he
Batok,
works.
and you stay in the Bukit Batok, beyond, you know, the hours, and then after that go for dinner here, have your lunch here, meet with residents. Is that you know what I'm saying? You know?
Yes,
That's
sir.
a 44, 48, 50 hour a week difference. That's what I'm saying. How much time can you, you know, how much more can you do if you're full-time versus part-time?
Yes.
And I think that we have addressed quite a lot about facilities and safety issues, and holding contractors, plans to hold contractors, all these the amenities to get them in order. But I think some of my neighbors, because they're elderly they participate a lot in grassroots activities, this kind of stuff. So about their welfare and this kind of activities, what plans do you have in mind?
You know, I don't want to. This is one thing I've made up my mind a long time ago. As MP, I think you get it's not a salary, okay? They call it allowance, and as allowance, tax-free. You just make sure it's deducted for CPF and then MediSave. $16,000 a month, okay? I've said, you know, I will dedicate, at least get a portion of it, put it into a pot, right? And then from that pot, then you start a fund. Then you start a trust fund. You raise funds for, get a trust fund going. And we have a lot of low-income households in the constituency, okay? Somehow, we need to give them a helping hand. And more than that, you know, I mentioned about, the Dew, for example, right? Sky Peak, right? Just across from that street that is block 210 where low-income rental houses. You know, here we are living in this community, but I don't know you, you don't know me.
They're separated.
Right? So, yeah, so I live my life, you live your life, and it's like, you know, why call ourselves Singaporeans, is it? Why call ourselves Batokians? That's the role of the leader in that, to make sure we bridge people. And I want to appeal to some of our better off families. You've got your compatriots, your fellow Singaporeans that cannot even make ends meet. Come up with a program where we can adopt, right? Not simple things, even for example, water bill, right? Help them take care of it, you know, adopt their families, that kind of thing. And we don't have to limit it to Batok. I want to start this trust fund. I want to go to all over Singapore and make sure that, you know, hey, your Bukit Timah area, raise funds from there. You're not start a trust fund, and let's just start with Bukit Batok first. We mentioned a little bit about town council taking care of drains, making sure the lights all work and everything. That is the very
basic.
Yes, your bread and butter, if you will, correct? Not, but that's not enough. You see, you want to build a community. You just don't want to run an estate.
Everyone try to enjoy the same facility.
And this is where I honestly, there's so much we can do, so much we need to do, but it's not done. And as I said, you know, I just want to make Bukit Batok into this. You know, I don't want to exaggerate, but we can make it a jewel of Singapore. You see. Make it like a model, not just constituency, but community. And then when you say, I'm a Batokian, I'm from Bukit Batok, you can say that, you know, with pride, you know, it's something, you're not very proud of it, that kind of thing.
Yes.
And then you know your neighbors and that kind of thing. But I keep saying that, you know, that's the MP's role is there. You must try to motivate, you must inspire people, and you know what I mean? And then start at that constituency level, very local level, and let's build it up.
I mean, there are events organized, but you know, they always do it like they have national dinners and stuff, but then people don't know one another. Actually, we just sit together at the table, and then when the MP comes, we take a photo and then that kind of thing, and then they print out for you, and it looks very nice on the surface. Sure. But underneath it, we know it's,
basically they have some sort of discrimination to divide citizens in different classes, right? Yeah. That's why they have these elites, then the commoner and all this.
Yes.
So in very layman terms, the kampong spirit is like
the kampong spirit is not there.
Right, you know, last time seriously the gotong royong they say, you know what I mean? Look, I really want to start something like this and you know, get everybody, you know, that community spirit is there.
Yeah, because from my experience working at the market the past month, they have been taking care of me a lot. Yeah, that's it. Good.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to point
Before
out.
we go, come, let's help ourselves with this, and then we can eat as we talk. Go ahead.
Because I quite active in doing the feedback to the one service, but most of the feedback response is not so good to me. Not satisfactory.
You know,
not satisfactory.
I've received 4 awards in Bukit Batok Community Centre for my academic stuff, and obviously Mr Murali is there, he's the guest of honor and stuff like that, and we have like a bit of food, this and that, but the students there that are receiving the award are not connected at all. They are just there to take the certificate,
Take a photo.
take a photo, and that's it. And that's it. I've done it 4 times, and all 4 times felt really disconnected. Students are just there to take the certificate, take the picture. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, my daughter got some awards too. Basically, the impression is everybody is there for the voucher. Then
is.
after that, after the photo op,
Yes.
you know, I think I kind of like that concept of that kampong spirit thing. You know, what are the possibilities that you are looking at that we can explore in future to build more closely interwoven kind of relationship that we are proud that, hey, you're from Bukit Batok, that's nice. You know, that's a very close community where we help each other. We say hi to each other in the morning. Hey, you know, we conduct maybe runs, all this together, get everybody together, and you know, stay healthy. This kind of stuff, which I think now is really like.
And these programs let the residents run it, own it, and run it. You know, you helicopter in PA People's Association, and they think that they boss everybody around, and then RCs and people know. It must come from the residents. So that's, you know, and you know, you brought up the subject of students. I also want to start an enrichment program for students, and not just to, you know, tell you, hey, your math is what? A. I help you get A+. No, not like, but just teach them critical thinking, independent thinking, analysis, collaboration, interaction, because that's the future of tomorrow. You know, you look at all the big people who are, you know, they're not your scholars. They're the people who are enterprising, and they know how to interact, manage people, you know, have EQ. All these things come in so handily if you're talking about society of tomorrow.
Yes.
So these are some of the things that I just want to do. And I sometimes before I go to bed, and sometimes I get very excited about, you know, if I start dreaming, you know, if I'm MP, these are things that I want to do, and so on and so forth. And then, you know, sometimes I just cannot sleep and just look, you know. But I'm hoping this time around that residents, voters in Bukit Batok give me the chance to be able to show, starting with BB, and how we can actually use that to expand island-wide as a nation. Got so much potential. I can tell you, success nowadays does not. You don't have to have 10 million, 100 million people. Never the country. You look at some of the smaller countries. You let the people come up. You let the ingenuity, their creativity, their spirit, their courage going forward. I can tell you, with 5 million, 6 million people, we can do a lot.
Can I ask one more question? Sure. Because it has been on my mind. You know, I've been watching you taking up in politics for so many years. You have been persecuted. You have been hit very hard. You know, and what drives you? What drives you? I'm very impressed by your drive.
If you, I don't know, maybe I'll need a psychiatrist to psychoanalyze me, then I'd be able to give you the reason. I don't. I'm just wired wrongly, I guess.
No, it's good.
But
wired wrongly good.
But it's. I don't know. What? How do you define loyalty? How do you say that this is my country, right?
Yes.
I was born here. I don't know. It's, you know, the sights and sounds, you know, that make you familiar. I spent like maybe almost 10 years in the US. Right? I like the country, that it was very nice, but I never felt at home. I don't know, somehow. And then when sometimes you know, you then hear someone saying la, and then, you know, Singlish. You very naturally oriented.
Yes,
more
yes.
connected. You know,
become
how
very comfortable with
Every
it.
time
you know what I'm saying?
overseas, you hear
Right,
it.
right.
Yeah.
And you know, you may not like consciously think about it, but
Yes.
that's home, you see. That's home. Yeah? And then chicken rice lah, bak chor mee lah, laksa, mee rebus, all these things, they're all into our experience, consciousness, and you know, this is where we belong. And if this is where we belong, this is home. We make it work. And home is not where always that person that you always agree with them. You know, you've been to hotels, right? You don't have a say. Things are very nice, yes, but you don't have a say. But your home, it's a little bit messier, right? Not the towel is not always in place, the bed sheet is not always there. But that's home because you have a say in that. You run things, right? And that's where you belong. Right?
But
So,
a lot of people would say Singapore is my home, but we don't have a say.
we can change that. We can change that. And I'm saying, let's find the courage this 10th of July. Let's find the courage and make it our home. Make it at home. This Singapore it is ours, you know. It doesn't belong to any one party. It doesn't belong to any one group or small group of people. All of us, we have a stake in it. We built this country up. We have a stake. So, you know, 10th of July, let's go and make this Miss Singapore ours. Okay? And you take that one step with me. I'll take that 10 steps forward. But let's do it. Let's get it done.
Well, I think you deserve the chance.
He
We're
definitely
gonna try.
does.
We're gonna try.
Yes.
So again, thanks very much for coming, and I want to just express my when I go down to MRT and I see all of you, it helps. It helps. Okay. You know, the one thing that I also want to just say is that sometimes when you see me down in the streets, I'm very different, right? When you saw me, say, at the debate, people said, you know, how come you couldn't smile? You're so like aggressive like that. I wasn't angry. I have no grudges against Dr. Vivian Balakrishnan. But in a debate, sometimes you stay very focused. And you know, it comes across very differently now. But I want to assure everyone that if you see me, you know, down at the Kopitiam here or you know, in Block 155, that kind of thing, come up and see me. And you know, I when I see you guys, I instinctively I just smile, because that's, you know. But when in a debate, my heart is all fighting for those issues. You ask me to smile at that time when my heart is not feeling it. It's not authentic. I can say, you know that the CPF old people, and I just feel very fake. So
Come on. We don't need a lion to represent the people. We don't need a sheep to represent the people to fight for our rights. We need a lion Yeah. So there's no reason you should smile to me.
Yes, and some supporters of Vivian said that no point bringing up his the YOJ thing. Then we can also don't bring up what PSB has done. We are looking at the current PAB, the 4G leaders. They have lost the way definitely and disconnected with the citizens. They're just thinking of their best interests, their own pockets. It's really, you can't fool us. Yes.
And how can it hurt to have a real voice in Parliament?
Yes. We are not expecting
us.
not expecting you all to take over and form the government, but at least you can vote and stop the government from randomly carrying out things without the best interest of our citizens.
Actually,
because it is hurting our jobs. So many people are doing Grab and food delivery when they are degree holders, and they are being retrenched and replaced by fellow by people, cheaper labor, and then they bring in their own people from that certain country, and I know.
Right, riding on that, Kenneth, I think the debate has shown a very good example of how policies in Parliament should be debated about. So because there's this vibrancy, and this is the first time you see a PAP minister agreeing with opposition openly, in this kind of topics, then it becomes like we are really like what James is talking about, Dr. James is talking about, we're agitating towards a solution. So I think this is very healthy, and for the future of our for the Singaporean community and our competitiveness in this so messy and competitive climate, worldwide climate, I think that is the only way forward than to bulldoze certain policies which actually we don't like, to us. And so actually I'm looking forward, like in other countries where they have opinion polls. What a true democratic society should have opinion polls or referendums. You don't know, you don't need to guess, you give us a Sing Pass. We have Sing Pass, it's very easy. We go in, we click yes, no, then very fast at the flick of your finger you get the public opinion.
Yes.
You know? I think we're all for this.
Yes.
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 That's so. I think that's the worried about this referendum.
They don't want to get the feedback.
They
want-
don't want
they
the
don't
feedback. They
Then,
just want to be.
where's the accountability about being transparent to the citizen?
there's no
I
transparency.
don't see
There's
that.
like
no
feedback.
It's
transparency.
always their best interest in their own pockets.
Okay, so I just want to bring back to Bukit Batok again. For many of the Bukit Batok residents, they have really different opinions about Dr. Chee Soon-Juan. And I want to say, if you live in Bukit Batok, go up to him, speak to him, and see what he really is and who he represents, how he represents himself. The media, the newspaper, the articles that you see,
They're all one-sided.
why read it
Yeah.
when you can meet him and ask him questions yourself? So if you live in Bukit Batok, please, and if you see Dr. Chee, walk up to him, ask him a few questions, and you decide. Don't let the media decide, you decide.
Well, again, thanks so much, all of you, for this session. I really enjoyed having you guys here, and this will not be the last. Okay, we get residents come in and let us
Nice.
know.
Different residents to give
Yes.
their opinions and then show that
Get
it's
more
not staged.
different residents.
It is not a wayang
Yes,
thing.
yes.
We are trying to be
I
real here.
hope the citizen can use their common sense to think for themselves.
Yes.
Right. Many of my friends ask me why I get involved in opposition side. I say I am doing my job, my duty as a citizen. I will decide who is the right person, who to have a good idea, able to produce the works for the citizen. Right.
Yeah.
You don't just anyhow listen to one side story. You have to listen to both sides or more if possible, right? Then you decide yourself. Don't follow other people's. Use
just
your
follow-
own.
yeah, reading
use your
newspapers.
own common sense to think what is right or what is wrong.
Thank you everybody, and hopefully all of you please tune in and help spread the word. We'll just leave it right here just to say goodbye, and thank you again.
Bye.
10th of July.
Please remember,
Bye.
Thank you.
vote for
Vote for SDP.